Hello guys, how are we doing and welcome back to the channel. Today I have another Help with Harrz episode where we're going to be focusing on positioning, cutting lanes and playing effectively as a sub player on Black Ops 6 ranked play. The map in question in today's VOD is going to be on Hacienda Hardpoint. For those of you who are, we already know about positioning and you've spoken about how to hold lanes and cut lanes before, but they've been with an AR. So this video is going to be slightly differently. The submachine gun role is a considerably different role and you've got to play way more close and a little bit more aggressive to make it effective. We're going to be reviewing the form that this gamer submitted. We're then going to be looking through the gameplay and giving a little bit of a summary at the end. So we're going to kick it off with the form. So today's gameplay was submitted by Skazi. They play on a new gen console. They're currently in Diamond 1. They're probably ranked up since because this is a week or so old VOD. But their highest rank last year was Crim 1, so they're somewhat lacking behind what they were in Crimson, in MW3, sorry. They play on a decent FOV, for me, a little too high, but it's not outrageous, okay? 107 is okay. I usually recommend between 95 and 105 to get the best mixture of benefits and cons of both FOVs, okay? But 107, not that bad. A 1.6 sense is really good. They play on controller. They are a channel member, which is why I'm reviewing them today. And then their setup is also pretty good. They play a Battle Beaver with 4 rear buttons, a decent headset, and a really solid, a really good monitor. So that's a really nice setup. Yeah, love it. I'm interested to see whether or not you're actually on PS5 or Xbox, but I guess it doesn't really matter too much. So the one thing they would like me to focus on in your gameplay, and today's gameplay is a focus, as I say, on cutting lanes, timing, better positioning, and trying to get over the hump, obviously back to Crim. So they want to get to that Crim again for Black Ops 6, which is, you know, why don't we all? I struggle with staying consistent in winning my gunfights due to poor position and inconsistent anticipation. Interesting. I have the ability to have a solid gunny, but I just can't get into the flow state enough to stay more consistent. I've just started ranked on Black Ops 6 just over a week ago, so I'm still learning the maps, spawns, and power positions on each map. The huge thing I'm trying to focus on and improve on is reading the kill feed, minimap, and compass more and better. Getting more comfortable using those games awareness and a struggle still. Okay. First things first. A lot of the stuff you've mentioned will literally come with time. Grinding the game myself, a week or two into Black Ops 6 ranked play, I probably was a little bit unaware, okay? But that's just because you're not used to where people are coming from. After time, especially if you're trying to willingly get better every game, you're going to be noticing patterns and why you're making mistakes. You're going to be noticing people coming from certain areas, and you're going to be more aware of them coming from those areas going forward. So generally, a lot of the things you mentioned will just get better with time, but we're going to try and shortcut what we can in today's video. So we're going to kick it off with the gameplay now. See what we can find, and I'm interested to see how you play this map out with a sub. So I really like this route, first of all. Oh, and by the way, there is no game sound because the person who submitted this video had music on the background, and I'm just going to get DMC'd if I or whatever it is, DMCA'd, whatever, I don't know what it is, but basically reported by YouTube because of copyright. So I've had to mute the gameplay. So unfortunately, you've just got to listen to me and me alone ramble on with some COD soundtrack of my choice. But I really like this play, so I'm going to break this down as to why I really like what's happening here. I'm using a different website to normal because the other website I use doesn't have this map on there because it's a new map. But you had a couple of choices to make, okay, when you're approaching P1 and to support P1. You either run through middle, but the issue with running through middle is that you're welcomed by either a long line of sight this way, a long line of sight through open, or you're in the middle of the map where you've got to try and shoot people who are all far away. So none of those three are really effective as a sub, unless you can guarantee you can get to like this middle line before they get to theirs, which you simply can't, okay? It's not the smart move. The other alternative play you could do is run left and pinch this side, but again, it's a little bit risky. And if I'm honest, it's probably not the best thing to do because P2 is over here, so you really want to play for P2, and being over this way and blocking this area is more likely to spawn the enemy here. So really nice route. I like what you've done here. Taking this route allows you to keep the gunfights relatively close quarters. You're going to meet enemies relatively the same time in this area, which means you're going to be able to take on 50-50 gunfights at the range your gun's good at. And then when you finally approach the top open area here, enemies are either going to be to your left or right, and they're going to be within the range of SMG you want. So this is a really nice route, a smart decision, number one. Let's see how we play with this. We're using a stun and a nade to throw over to anticipate gunfights. I think you potentially use them a little bit too late. If you imagine the enemy being there exactly the same time as you, they're just, because you've just delayed yourself, they'd have probably just got to this end of this checkerboard, but just the other side, I guess. They're very much closely approaching this rock because you've taken the time to throw a stun and a nade. If you want to do that, probably do it a little bit early. You can probably actually do it before the garage because there's like a 5-second timer on the nade itself. You can do it before you get in actually to the garage, or don't throw it at all. But this has delayed your push because you've thrown a nade and stun. They haven't thrown a nade and stun, and they've taken a similar route. And because of how symmetrical this map is, because you've delayed your push and they haven't, just because you've thrown a nade, they've got to this really nice spot here quicker than you have. So it's left yourself in a little bit of a sticky situation. Anticipation here probably wouldn't have been a bad thing. As I say, you meet at that rock at the same time if neither of you throw throwables pretty much almost exactly the same time. So it's always worth expecting someone there, especially considering P2 is here. So some people do like to get P2 spawns first. It depends how they play, but because of where P2 is, if you're running this direction, always expect a gunfight in that rock area, okay? That's just a rule of thumb. If you're ever on a map, I know that's only applicable for Hacienda, but if you're ever on a map where there's a 50-50 chance of coming against someone, and the route you're taking, it's a symmetrical map, the route you take, you meet people, expect a gunfight, pre-aim it, and maybe stun and nade a little bit closer maybe next time. That will come with time. You'll learn next time you don't do that. You'll learn next time to be a little bit more careful of someone there. That's absolutely fine. Okay, that gunfight's an interesting one. Now, I do want to highlight this player is on 50 ping, which isn't ideal. It's not the best. You're probably playing people who's probably on like 10, 20 ping perhaps. But this is a real nice move. I absolutely love this movement. You slide backwards, you pre-aim where they were. The only thing I would argue is if they were still on that heady, you're pretty much dead. But you anticipated the push. Really good read. Nice awareness from you there. And somehow your bullets just didn't quite miss. So we're actually going to take this gunfight and slow it down slightly. So you're not quite weak enough. Your health bar isn't there, so you know you're not really weak. And we are just going to slow this down very slightly. So nice center in onto where the player is. You can see not having to make much adjustments there. So your gunny's pretty good. You seem to get the first shot off, but it misses. And it's a real rough situation. Now, a lot of those hit markers didn't look like they hit, and I think part of that is when you're on a high ping and the enemy is sliding, your bullets just go to Narnia. I don't know where they go, but they disappear. For the fact that you've got low ping, I think you should have won that gunfight. If it was a real even situation with ping and guns, you would have won that gunfight. I think the two reasons you haven't, it's potentially their movement. They slid out and it meant the game's desynced a little bit. It's not great. The servers aren't amazing on this. The fact you're on 50 ping also doesn't help. It does contribute to that. And the fact they're also using the KSV. This is the real nice benefit of using the KSV, is because this is the perfect range for a KSV to win a gunfight against the Jackal. So even if you did in this gunfight shoot at the same time, the same reactions with the same ping, you'd have lost because they're the KFC. Okay, so it wasn't, there's not much you could have really controlled there. I like what you did. I'm not going to criticize it too much because I liked how you played that, but it's what it is. I would say it's always worth watching kill cams for gunfights that look that close. See what the enemy did that you didn't. For me, I don't think it's much that you could have done, but it's always worth checking the kill cam there. Okay, we're not sure where to go. I don't mind this route. 33 seconds left on the hill. You've not got good spawns. And again, we are heavily avoiding these upper lanes, which I sort of don't mind. But you do need control of them. If you want any time of P1, whether you're a sub or an SMG player, you do need control of the top routes. For me, if you were up here, I would personally prefer to take this right-hand route because there's a little cut in you can do above the window, above the little U area that you can get in. You can make the gunfights a little bit closer. But considering you can run from your side up to the top, you can take on if someone's here, you're in that gunfight. You've got a sub. If someone's here, you can win that gunfight because you've got a sub. You can use a stun to determine if anyone's on your left or anyone's on your right, and then you can use that to help your team support this top area. Okay, you need to enable your ARs to get to where they need to get to look over the hill. That's sort of what your job is as a sub for this particular circumstance. Obviously, once you get to those positions, where say you do kill someone here or here, you're then taking on long gunfights. Okay, you're then having to shoot someone who's really long range, whether it's this way or that way, which is why you're in then a sticky situation. But using your stuns, using your nades, even just dipping back out of that situation, taking a route after you've cleared this top area for your team, is a thing that you can do. You don't have to just fully commit to an area just because you find yourself there. But I like what the route we're taking here. We're very conscious of the fact that we need to rotate. Good kill with a Jackal. I don't mind that reload. Okay, your teammates just died from top left. Your teammate is watching, so I'm not too concerned. Hopefully they can stay alive. Okay. We're second guessing ourselves from what I'm seeing. So, you're reading this spawn, which is absolutely perfectly right. I do think you should have played this player quicker. So you get that kill. Your enemy was on the hill. As soon as you saw this red dot, you should be flying at this guy. This guy's main concern is not you, I promise. The reason it's not you is because there's two players. There's a player right next to them that you can see through the wall, and you can also see on the mini-map, through the wall and on the mini-map. There's also a player who's on the hill time. You are the least of their concern, okay? That player who you've just killed is probably communicating that they're a rock, they're coming P2, maybe. This player is not concerned. You should have flown at this guy. You know there's 3 enemies down, so there's only 1 player left. You should have flown at this guy, not allowed them to gain health. I know you were trying to support from this direction, but it's an unlikely gunfight to win from here. They managed to get 2. At that point, he's taken on 2 gunfights. You'd have hoped that that player who's just killed your teammates is somewhat weak, okay? So you're winning that gunfight, okay? They're using a KSV. At the range you're going to approach that gunfight, you've got the Jackal, which has a slightly upper hand, I think, at that range. You should have just dealt it. That's my 2 cents. We do, however, read the good spawn. Your teammates have just spawned back left, which tell you the enemies are spawning to your right. They're spawning the way you've just spawned. But was this guy still alive, okay? And they've just killed your 3rd teammate. They've just got a 3-piece. You've then decided to focus on that player. And then you've just died in the process, okay? So there's a couple of things you could have done better in that situation. Trade your teammate out a lot quicker. You're in a prime position to do it. They're not going to be looking at you. And they're definitely going to be weak after the 2 kills. So play a little bit more aggressive there. That's absolutely fine for the trade. Especially when you know where they are and they don't really know where you are. You've got the upper hand there. And secondly, you didn't read the spawns quick enough. You should have realised your teammate spawned behind you. And if you did want to kill the guy who jumped onto P1, you could have done it from your side, which would have been a little bit safer than doing it here, because you know the enemy are going to spawn in this side because of where your teammates have just spawned. It's fine. I think we probably... Okay, the fact that you've spawned out is really big info. So your teammates all look like they're relatively prepared over this area. And the fact that you've spawned here pretty much tells you on Hacienda is that the enemy are all over this line. Okay, the enemy are all closer towards this spawn than they are to this spawn, which is why the game spawned you there. It's deemed it the safest spawn, even though your team are over here protecting the spawn, okay? Because your enemy has pushed all the way through that midline mark, or most of them have pushed over that halfway line, you've then spawned out, okay? So that's something you can, if you were in a quad stack, you could communicate to your team and tell them that's what's happening. But I don't think we're quad stacking, I think we are solo queuing. Really like that nade that's going to land, or at least delay their push to the hill itself from this side. Really like that. Good shots with the Jackal yet again. That's 1 kill. Because basically what's going to happen here, you need to try and determine where your team are, okay? And it's where you need to be a little bit more aware of the spawns. So the spawns on this map, back here, 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 and somewhere here, okay? Now, the enemy is going to spawn here unless it's blocked. We need to know whether it's being blocked or not. And you need to see where your teammates are. You can bring the tac map up to have that little bit more of awareness. You can do that by pressing the scoreboard and then R1 or right bumper. That'll bring up the tac map, and you can leave that up. You don't then have to go to the scoreboard every time, and that'll be a useful way to just get instant info on the entire map. So I'd recommend doing that, because that'll hopefully enable you to get these spawns. So what you want to know is if your teammates are blocking this. If they are blocking this, it means the enemy's then going to look to spawn here. But if you're blocking this, I don't think you are from where you are, but if that's being blocked, they then spawn here and then here pretty much, okay? So it's a little bit of a trick when you need to watch out for those 4 spawns. If I were you, and you're in the position you're in, as long as you know your team are blocking the back spawn, you know that the enemy's going to spawn in one of these 2, okay? You might not know spawns correctly, but you need to know if your teammate's blocking these spawns and if that enemy's going to spawn in out, and then you can play for them off one of these 2 locations. But the fact you don't have that knowledge means that you're going to have less awareness, because you simply don't know where your teammates are at that point. Okay, another nice kill. I think that was the guy you just killed, if I'm not mistaken. No, it wasn't. But a really nice play. This is exactly what a sub player should do, okay? They should be playing, in a general term, you should have the AR blocking the hill, blocking the spawn if they can. You know, that's in a general, you should have a teammate, someone blocking the spawn, someone sat on hill. If it's a long range hill where you can see out of it for a while, it can be an AR, can be a sub, doesn't really matter. But then you want someone between the hill and their spawn. So say, for example, if I break this down really like this, your teammate's blocking this, so the enemy can't spawn there. Let's say the enemy spawn here, the hill's here. Okay, let me just put P2 on actually. And the hill's here. Okay. if the enemy is spawning here, the sub's role is to be in this position, be between the enemy's spawn and the hill, and be a real distraction and be that first line of defense before the enemies get to the hill. And I think you know and understand that's what you should be doing based on your positioning. Now, you've instantly read that your teammates are struggling to help on the hill. You've just seen 2 red dots. This red dot means they're really bloody close, okay? That would tell me that they're probably in Zig. You can almost tell they're in Zig as well from the radar, but unfortunately it doesn't show it. But because of how big that red dot is, you know they're relatively close, okay? So you've walked in a little bit closer. You know there's 2 in Zig. There's 1 out of Zig. Now, you're dealing with 3 people here. You've got 8 bullets in your magazine. This is something you should wait. Even if you kill 2 people, there's going to be a 3rd waiting for you to be traded, okay? This is not a situation where you're going to get hill time. I promise you. You're far better off waiting for your team to come and support you, waiting for some easy kills, maybe sit in the corner here, wait for a push out, be annoying, get damage out, but you don't want to die. You want to, even if you're not doing any damage, you just hide. Wait for your teammates to come to you. They're going to do distractions. You can then push from this side and play with the team. I'm interested to see how you play this. We decided to run straight in. We do run out of ammo, which is unfortunate. But this is fine, actually. You're being difficult. You're playing your life. You're not dying. You're not giving them an easy kill, whilst your teammate is flanking as well, which is really nice. But you not dying here is the main thing. You don't want to run in here just to die like that. But you've done enough. I thought you did enough for your teammates to get close to you, but unfortunately it wasn't the case. Playing your life there a little bit more would have worked a little bit better. Whether you're playing Creddy or not, probably not the best thing. Okay, you don't want to do this. I know exactly what you're going to do here. So at the moment, the enemy team are spawning here. P3, by the way, is over here. Okay, it's in sort of this zone. P3's there. Enemy spawning here. Realistically, you don't want these spawns, because if you end up spawning here, there's 20 seconds left, say. You'll then got a long route to get to the hill, whereas the people spawning out at P2 are going to spawn here, meaning that they can set up for P3 really easily. When it gets to the latter half of the hill, don't fight for the spawns. Fight for the current hill. If you just get them off the hill time, keep them spawning back here if you can. It means their route to P3 is a lot harder. If you're spawning here, which is the bad spawns for P2, but it's actually not a bad spawn towards the end of P2 because P3 is really close. It's not the worst thing in the world. You don't have to try and break the spawn over and over again, okay? When it's this little time on the hill, you really want to be spawning towards P3 on this snail. And that's the logic between every map, really. Luckily, you died. You didn't want to be winning that gunfight, because what it means now, you can probably set up for P3. I like the fact that you've rotated. You're aware of that's the case. What I'm hoping to see here is a little bit of awareness of where they're going to be coming from. So you know where they're spawning, you know where they were because they're on P2. Let's see if we're cutting the right lanes off to determine to stop their push into the initial spawn here. Okay, I think that was a bit soon to leave the spawn. If someone right around P3, you were looking for 1. Yeah, exactly what I thought. So this is something that must purely come with time, okay? So if I rewind this back, and there's a reason I sort of got the sense that there weren't anyone pushing. So there's 1 dead. Anyone you kill, by the way, is going to be spawning over here. Any kills that your teammate gets while P2 is active is going to spawn the enemy here. It means they're going to have to run all the way around this way. They're going to run around this way. They're going to run around that way. The fact that there's still somebody on the hill, they've just got off, okay? The worst thing you can do is assume that the person that got off is going to run the most direct route to the hill. Let's say you're on P2. Let's say you were the player on P2 and you wanted to rotate to P3. Are you rotating this way? Probably not. Are you rotating this way? It's top plat. Maybe. Are you rotating all the way around to get the spawns? Maybe. Okay, so it's this and this you probably need to watch out for, because I don't think anyone from P2 is rotating this way, especially because their team is all there as well. So you need to be much more careful of this and this. Obviously, you don't know for sure which one they're going to be at, but if your team know you're the player making sure that they can't flank all the way, you need to assume the player coming from P2 is coming the long route, okay? They've just left P2. They wouldn't have even made it to the rock yet. They would have barely made it to the hedge. And they're just flanking you, okay? You've got to think of the timing from the P2. You've left it a little bit late. Now, that's, again, just something that time's going to have, and the more you grind, the better you'll be at those sort of assumptions. But if you're holding the spawn, you need to assume the enemy's going to be coming all the way around, and you're going to use the time they get off the hill to determine when they're going to be there. I'm not going to pause and go over this as much detail going forward, because I know it's been 20 minutes already, and there's way much more of the game left. So I'm going to just try and talk over things a little bit quicker, so you're not here for 3 hours. Nice little pinch there. You've got the first kill. You're being a little bit annoying. There's a person on the hill closer to you. So you play that and prioritize that. That's tough. You did have a stun and a nade, which you could have used in that situation, but I don't really mind it. That's 3 down, looking for one more player. And we decided to rotate to the new hill. I absolutely love this. So that's probably the one player they didn't have. So what you need to be doing, when you get 3 down, that's a lot of info. You need to determine where your teammates are to determine where the enemy's spawning. So let's say, for example, P3's live. Let me just mark that as being live. P3's live. Spawns, the main 2 spawns are pretty much here, or in lobby. Depending on where your teammates are, determine where they're spawning. Now, it looks like, to me, you've got a teammate, I'm trying to judge this correctly. It looks like you've got a teammate sort of back here. You've got a couple and then a couple on time. Okay, that looks like where they are. So for me, the enemies are probably likely to spawn here. Okay, which means that when those 3 players are going to spawn in, instead of running to the hill because of how little left of the hill time, they're likely just to run to the new objective. So you need to be very careful of what route they're going to be coming from. They're either going from that way or middle. Okay, that's the only 2 ways they're going to be coming from. And you're going to have 3 people coming at you at the same time. That's what you need to have in the back of your head. But you do well to get the first kill. I really like that. That's the 4th kill now. It looks like one of your teammates died to a player challenging them. But they're either be coming from your middle or your front garage. Okay, that's what you need to be very careful of. In that situation, you want to almost prioritize garage. You want to this mid door because you haven't seen anyone. Okay, you've that long line of sight. If I rewind this, so you've just checked that they're not there. They're not there. They're not there. They can't be there now, so they can't have reached you at that point because it's been too soon. You really need to prioritize that middle door a little bit more. But maybe it's because you have teammates there. I'm not sure. But otherwise, I like the play. I like the rotation. I like the first blood. It was a huge, massive moment for your team. The only thing I would say, you maybe could have got a trophy down. If you felt it's safe enough to reload, you definitely should have put a trophy down first. Really good nade again. Love that. Good kill. Let's see you push out these spawns. Lovely kills. So spawns on this. You probably maybe know this by now. Spawns on P4 are ramp, lobby, and then not there. Pretty much boathouse. If your teammates spawn boathouse, they're either going to spawn here or here. Typically, if you're on the hill and you push a little bit through, or you know what, you're this side of the hill, the enemies are going to spawn lobby, which means when they spawn lobby, they're probably going to run through middle. Okay. As a sub, if your teammate's spawning here and you know the enemy's either going to be coming from here or here, which one are you going to be better at defending? First of all, are you going to be better at defending the long line of sight into garage, who might challenge you from the top of the Lambo, which is going to be a really tough gunfight with an AR? Or are you better off being in middle, playing some cruddy corners, waiting for your enemy to push through this middle zigzag bit here to get to the hill? Most definitely the latter. You're most definitely more effective as a sub player playing between this spawn and the hill than you are playing between this spawn and the hill. So trust your teammates who are currently on the hill. They're looking over you. Push off the hill, get into this zone, be a real cruddy player. Lay down behind this little bit of a heady here, looking at the hill, shooting a couple enemies in the back. Something like that would be perfect for you in this situation. Because you've left that open right now. You don't know they're there on your right until they kill you. At any point when I have a sub, you want to try and think, okay, where could they spawn? Let me be between where they're spawning and where they need to be. And bleed that annoying sub player, especially if you've already got teammates who are willing to sit on the hill. Okay, so your teammates have just spawned middle lobby, which means they're coming from the other side. Nice kill. Nice, you're playing your life there. Get out, get out, get out. Okay, so those players off the old hill, I don't know if they've died yet. They might be wrapping all the way through to P2 into your spawn. I'm not sure where they've gone, but in any case. That's a tough hill. To be fair, this is a tough hill as a sub. I'm going to give it to you. Again, we're taking the same route. We've understood that the route we're taking there to the top isn't the best, and we're taking the rock route, which I really like. You're being annoying. I would pick up the Ames, though, so you can be versatile in this situation. Again, be careful pushing over the halfway line across the map because you might spawn them at the new hill. But again, I like what you're doing. You've got the general sense that you know where they're spawning, you know where they need to be, and you're playing between it. I think in previous hills, you've just lacked... You don't need to reload your sub, by the way. You've got 14 bullets. You've just lacked the spawn knowledge. I think that's something that you're just going to get through time. So right now, I know you're a sub player, but you can be influential to spawns. You really need to try and position yourself at top P1 so that the enemy spawn at the other side of the map to P2, because otherwise it's going to make it a really tough P2 push again, which is what we struggled. I am noticing something, that you are reloading a little bit too soon. When you shoot and you've got 15 bullets left in your magazine, you have to be 100% sure you're going to be safe if there's 3 or 4 enemies down before you start to reload. Okay, I don't really need to see this much of a focus on the spawns. There's not much influence you can have here, okay? I get you're blocking spawns, and I really like the fact you're blocking spawns because it means the enemy can't spawn vines either. The position you're at is really nice because you're watching the cut. This is actually, if you had an AR, this would be perfect. There was nothing stopping you. When you spawn in and decide to do this, there's nothing stopping. I don't know how long ago it was, but you've clearly gone to do it straight away. There's nothing stopping you at this point from pulling out an AR, putting your AR class on. You're going to be much more effective as an AR in this position than you would be a sub, and having that flexibility will make you a real asset to any squad you play with. Okay, they're not going to be coming from your left now. They're literally going to be spawning back rock or back middle. Let's see you push the team here. So, because you are a sub player, you are almost useless here. And I'm saying that you're not completely useless. You are blocking a spawn. You're blocking 2 spawns, really, which is really, you're blocking the spawn vines and you're blocking the spawn back where you are. Really nice. But other than that, you're not doing much. You're not getting the interactions you need. You're not getting the damage out. If people run across here from the middle door to you, you're not going to be killing them because you've got a sub. They've got an AR. They're probably going to win a gunfight if they take it on with you. You're not being impactful. So, your teammates are dying. Not yet. To be fair, not yet. You only need to be blocking when your enemies are dying. As soon as that teammate died, wait for the enemies to spawn in and then push. Let the teammate who's just spawned in get the spawns behind you. Let's ignore this up here. I'm doing a thing. So let's say, yeah, let me do this. Let me make it so it's obvious here. It should be like a conveyor belt, which is I don't know where you're from, but essentially like a shopping line sort of thing. So best setup is you have someone blocking spawns, someone on the hill, someone pushed out a little bit. Okay, that's sort of what you want. And then another player, I don't know, maybe two players on the spawn, whatever, on the hill. Maybe you have a player middle instead. I don't know. But let's say that's the situation you're in. Let's just say you've got one pushed through, one on time, and you're blocking. This player dies. This player, you should then run to bump this player because that player is then going to spawn here because you've got the spawns. This player is going to spawn here at some point. You then bump this player off. This player then pushes through. Or you push all the way through and become that player. But it should be like a conveyor belt. Okay, this player dies. This player pushes. You push to bump the player off the time. That player then spawns in it and takes up your mantle of the spawn blocker. Okay, that's how it should work. And that's how it can be really effective. Especially considering you've got a sub and you're pretty much useless here. You could probably argue if you had an AR, it would be the smart thing to do. But your teammates are spawning behind you and on you every time. And they're delayed to the point. You'd have been there a few seconds quicker and been able to support a few seconds quicker. Which does make this unfortunate. There we are. That's fine. We don't really want the spawns anyway. I think they've cocked up a bit there because they've spawned you close to the hill. You're rotating really well. I'm interested to see what position we hold here. Big first blood. Something I'm really loving about your gameplay is that when you're rotating, you're winning that really important gunfight or two that are winning your team the initial. You didn't need to reload. I'm pretty sure you didn't really need to reload. So you saw this player, 10 bullets, you only see one player here. Cancel your reload. Whether you double tap Y or, I don't know if you have sprint, cancel your reload and just beam them. You've got 10 bullets, that's more than enough to kill one player. That's what I'd have done. Just cancel your reload and then beam them. Okay, that's 3 down. Looking for one more who's in tin. Let's just clear that player out. It's really important to get that 4 down. Your teammates just spawned back here, which tells you the enemy aren't back here. They're probably the other side. They're probably either pushing through middle or through vines where you've just spawned. Middle. And now they're probably all front. Okay, you have a teammate who's dead, so let them pick up the flank. Unless you're no, you're going to rotate. Fine. Again, you're taking on a gunfight there where if you got to be careful you don't fully over challenge on this gunfight, because if an AR challenges you to this heady, you're going to die. You've got a sub, they've got an AR. I know the sub can do wonderful things sometimes, but why risk it? So again, if I were you, you just play this top middle cut, play between the lobby spawn and the hill. Your teammate has pushed through, so that player you've just killed is likely to spawn behind you. You read that. Unfortunately, you weren't in the best position to defend that. So you read the spawn. And if you were 2 seconds early, you probably would have been great, because they'd have just been running around this corner without a care in the world. You need to make sure you have the favor in your gunfights. You need to make sure that the gunfights are either 50-50 or at least weighted in your favor. That was a 70-30 gunfight against you because they had the stairs. But yeah, that was just unfortunate timing. You did read the spawn, which is quite nice to see. Generally speaking, unless you have a team this side, you don't want to push this side with a sub, because there's such a long line of sight to get to the hill, meaning that an AR is likely to win a gunfight, especially considering they've got head glitch after head glitch. Like coming around here with a sub, you're not beaming anyone who's sat on this heady, you're not beaming anyone who's sat on that heady. Even if they're here, you're probably dead. So unless you've got teammates who are already applying pressure to the hill from this side, you just avoid this area as a sub, especially if you don't have the support. A better route would have just been to go through middle. That's an unfortunate nade. We will have them. Fortunately, I think it got your teammate really weak. Okay, a really nice movement to get yourself into cover. So for those of you who don't know why he just slid out to the left, what he's doing is reducing the line of sight meterage. What's it called? Distance meterage. What am I on about? The line of sight meterage, distance, whatever you want to call it, to him and the enemy. So the way he's cut inside there meant that the gunfights he now takes on are really short range compared to what they were before, which is actually really good as a sub player. That's something that you can see. They're clearly used to playing as a sub. All really nice shots. Again, I don't think you need to switch to your pistol. I think you've probably got about 8 bullets left in your gun, which would have finished that off perfectly. 11 bullets in your gun. You'd have been absolutely fine. I thought that was going to go so well. And the reason I thought that was going to go so well is because your teammates have spawned out and you're going to just get a flood of enemies coming through here. Again, you're playing between the hill and where they're spawning. That's the most perfect way to play as a sub player. Unfortunately, I think you got double aim assist there. A little bit sticky of a gunfight. Yeah, I don't know if he meant to prioritize the guy sliding or the guy stood up, but it's what it is. You were outmatched, outgunned. Outnumbered, I meant, not outmatched. Good trade on your teammate. Nice kill on time. Be careful pushing over this halfway line mark. If no one on your team is pulled back further than you are pushed forward, the enemy will spawn behind you, okay? Just be very careful of that. By the looks of it, all your team are now pushed this side, which means your teammate's probably going to spawn... teammate spawned in, to be fair, because he probably died first. But just be very careful. It's okay if you've got people coming off spawn because they're going to be blocking that side. But yeah, I like what you're doing here. This is really nice gameplay. Your teammates behind you should be getting on the time. You're the furthest pushed up. You should never have to come back to the hill. This is up to your teammates to get the hill time, not you. Nice. Make sure you're pulling back so that your teammates don't spawn. You don't flip. This is really nice gameplay, what I'm seeing here. I think we're missing someone on this side. You don't want to be pushing this. Where are we going? I think we're rotating to the wrong hill. I assume we're rotating to the wrong hill here. Yeah, that's fine. We'll pretend that never happened. Let's skip this a little bit. Okay, so we're a little bit out of the action there because we tried to rotate to P3 instead of P2. You don't need me to tell you that that was obviously a cock-up. You obviously know yourself, but it is what it is. I like the fact you picked up an AR because it means you can be more versatile and it means you can take on gunfights like that without guaranteeing you're going to lose it. Unfortunately, you should have read someone in the back because at this level, there's going to be always someone in the back. Hey, but it's fine. They didn't get too much hill time. Okay, let's see how this works again. If you know you're going to be the one who's getting these spawns every time, I would love to see you have an AR in your hands, unless you play really tight angles here, making sure they can't flank. These ranges you have here are going to benefit the AR, okay? The gunfights, if someone comes around this corner now and they expect you, they're going to win if they have an AR. This is something an AR should be doing, not you. If you want to play this role, you want to play a little bit more tight, which is, I think, what you're trying to get here. Yeah, you're trying to close down the angles. I actually don't mind this. And now we've started lagging. We're on 100 milliseconds, 75, 81. Not ideal. Yeah, we're lagging bad. I do think that I think that was a brave gunfight. And I probably would have said not to do that, because your chances of you winning that slim. You've got no cover, they've got all the cover, and that's something you never want to really engage in if you can help it. But I think the lag did contribute to you dying there a little bit. I like the route we're taking here, though. I know you are lagging, but I like the route we're taking here. We're getting the spawns that you probably prefer, and for me, I prefer these spawns anyway. I like this. We're clearing out the spawn, enabling your teammates to spawn in the good side. You're somehow getting kills on 150 ping. Kudos to you. Again, you're stunning the push. You don't know an enemy's there. You're assuming an enemy's there, so you're stunning it. Massive, massive thumbs up for that. Don't see that anywhere near enough. You've read the spawn flip. For me, again, this is the same thing. I don't know whether you do this on every hill, other than Hacienda, other maps. But this is a long range gunfight. You should not be using a sub here. If you want to block this area off, get a little bit closer. You know, lay down here, maybe be a little bit cruddy and hold that line of sight. In a way, you're going to win it over the sub. You've got an Amaz there. If you really want to hold this, you could always pick it up. But you want to be in a position that's going to benefit you as a sub player, not an AR player. And again, on that hill, I'd always advise going top mid with a sub to stop their push from lobby. Again, a good nade, good stun. You can cuss 2 enemies, so you know there's at least 2 on the hill. Not 100% sure what route we're taking, but I'm assuming we're just trying to get top mid. I like this route to get top mid, actually, because you're not having to engage in really any long-range gunfights. I can tell the lag is getting to you because you're moving more than you have before. Okay, the lag's come down a bit. We're already on 110 ping. Good kill. That's 3 down. Last play is on time. It should be an easy kill. You've got the stun and a nade. Let's see you use them. That's enough. To be fair, your teammates have done that. This is really nice, actually. So do some damage. Don't overcommit to a gunfight. Like that. They had a sub as well. That's a bummer. Okay, respawned here, which means they're likely to have you. Okay, anyway. Actually not bad gameplay. So I'm going to rewind this a little bit as we go through some summary. So what do I like about your gameplay? It seems you can shoot straight. You can clearly shoot straight. And something I think is very much underrated, and when I see other people submit gameplays, is that you clearly use your tacks and stuns properly. You don't just wait for them to appear and then you throw it. You throw it preemptively. You use it for info. You use it to deter players from an objective. You use your stuns and nades really well. There's only 1 or 2 times I think you could have used it better, but that's being really picky. I think your utility usage and your gunny seem to be pretty good, okay? Another thing that I think you could improve upon, I think is also really good, is your use of movement. I think that you've got 4 paddles. You clearly know what you're doing. You're slide cancelling, you're jump shotting, you're sliding backwards into a jump shot. Really nice. And to be fair, you could argue that's all you need as a player. Good gunny, good movement, and you're using your tacks and stuns. You're using your tacks really well. Okay, that's really nice. Those are 3 vital things you need as a foundation to become a really good player. There's a couple of things you could improve upon. So you reloaded very early a lot of the times, resulting in you having to pull out a pistol, and I sometimes resulting in you not winning gunfights. Okay, so one way to you only really want to reload when you have absolutely no ammo left, which can happen when you've got 4 or 3 bullets and you simply can't get a kill in 3 and 4 bullets. Just reload. Okay, that's absolutely fine. But if you've got more than 10, 15 bullets in the magazine, you want to guarantee that you're not coming into a gunfight within the next 5 seconds before you reload. If you think there's even a chance of coming across an enemy within the next 5 seconds or so, just don't reload, because you can kill an enemy in 10 to 15 bullets, okay? That's fairly... So you can kill an enemy in 8 bullets, to be fair. You can kill an enemy in 4 if they're close enough, 5, I guess, in some cases. Just be more careful and mindful of when you want to reload. The best thing for me, when I was trying to be a little bit more frugal with my ammo, is get into a private match and try and get 5, especially with the KSV or the Jackal, try and get 5 kills in the magazine before reloading, okay? See how many kills you can get with 8 bullets left. See how many kills you can get with 7 bullets left in your magazine, okay? Because you will be able to get a kill, and it will just stop. If you grind, if you try and actively not reload in a private match over and over again, and maybe you say you get 100, 200 kills doing that, and you spend 10, 15 minutes in a bot lobby doing that, that timing and muscle memory is going to be ingrained in your head, and you're going to be less likely to reload when you don't need to. There was also an occasion where you reloaded and you just committed to it and just pulled out your sub, pulled out your pistol as a secondary. If you've got more than, as I say, that amount of bullets, you can YY to keep the gun you've got. If you're only looking for 1 kill, there was a point back hedge, I think, where we were trying to kill a guy with a pistol when we still had 10 bullets in our KSV or whatever the gun was. So reloading, I think you do it too much. Try and work on that if you can. The other thing I think is something that might just come over time, and that's, as a sub player, if you've got teammates on the hill, you don't need to be on the hill as well. The most functional way an SMG player can play is finding a tight area between where they're spawning and where the enemy needs to be, and owning that area, making control of that area, and ensuring that the enemies have to be very cautious of approaching the hill because they're scared you're going to be there. That's what you need to be doing, and I think you did that in some hills, but there's certain hills where you just probably didn't have the knowledge of where they were spawning to do that effectively, like this one here. You could have been top square, top open, being a much more effective SMG player than you are just sat on the hill soaking up time and waiting for the enemies to get to you before taking on those kills, okay? And then the third thing I want to try and work on, is that when you take on a gunfight, think, if I was challenged by an AR player where I think they're going to be, will I die? Because there's so many situations here where you're challenging a gunfight where I think it's a little bit too long line of sight, and if a really good AR player, which is what's going to happen when you get into criminary lobbies, if you get there, you're going to just get beamed by an AR because you've not positioned yourself correctly with a sub in hand. So to quickly summarize, first of all, great gamer. Obviously your connection does let you down a little bit. I think your movement, gunfight, and the use of utilities is great. The 3 things I want you to try and work on: reloading less, being that Slayer sub between the hill and the spawn and the objective for the enemy, and then finally making sure you're playing the gunfights you need to, and positioning yourself better as an SMG so that you're almost guaranteeing the gunfight goes in your favor. Other than that, really great gameplay. If you fix those few things, I definitely see you being a crim player. For definite, I definitely think you can get there. Probably high crim player. In fact, I'd go to say maybe crim 3. And I really appreciate you submitting your gameplay. For those of you who aren't Scarzy, I think that was the name. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it useful if you are a sub player. I know a lot of the content on this channel can derive around the AR role, but this has hopefully helped you out a lot. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now.